Yo, everyone! I'm back with a super fun and powerful Amazon Huntress build that's absolutely crushing T15 maps. Fast clears, huge explosions, and smooth boss kills with manageable gear, nothing too crazy. We're running Herald of Ice, Thunder, and Ash, which means elemental chaos on your screen 24/7. And the combo of Glacial Lance and Lightning Spear just feels so good. Cold and lightning working together to wipe out everything in your path. What I really love is that it's not just flashy. The build has solid survivability, and boss fights feel smooth and controlled, even while you're clearing fast. And yeah, I've been a little slower getting videos out. It's summer, life gets busy, and honestly, it's good to take breaks. Hang out with friends, enjoy time with family, and don't spend all day grinding Path of Exile. The loot will still be there when you get back. That said, if you're still hopping into PoE2 now and then, this build is a perfect way to have fun without stress and still blast through top-tier content. Let's dive into one of the most important parts of the build, the skills and gems setup. I've sorted everything from the most important to the least, so if you're short on sockets, just follow the order and prioritize from the top down. We'll start with our main auto attack, which is Infused Weapon. This comes directly from the Ascendancy node. It's the heart of our clear, and we're supporting it with Elemental Focus for 25% more elemental damage, Bullseye for a nice 50% accuracy boost, Rising Tempest, which gives us 12% extra elemental damage per element we use, and we're using all three, so we get the full benefit. And finally, Inevitable Critical to boost our crit chance consistently. Next up, we have Glacial Lance, our opener and core cold damage skill. This one's all about control. It helps freeze and slow enemies, giving us survivability and setting up buffs early in fights. We'll support it with Martial Tempo for 20% attack speed, Deliberation for 20% more damage, Cold Infusion for 25% extra cold damage, Glaciation to boost our freeze effectiveness by 50%, which is huge, and Heft to scale more physical damage into the hit. Now let's talk about the screen-clearing monster, Lightning Spear. This thing wipes out packs even off-screen, and we're building it for full AoE dominance. We're adding Fork to hit more targets with each cast, Primal Armament for 25% elemental damage, Volt, which gives 30 voltaic charges just from moving, and let's be honest, we're always moving unless we fall asleep mid-map. It also adds 5% lightning damage and allows our hits to chain. Caltrops, which makes our projectiles scale off 60% of our dexterity as physical damage, a nice DPS bump, and Innervate, which gives 35% lightning damage when we kill shocked targets. And we're doing that all the time? On to the Heralds, starting with Herald of Ash. This one creates those fiery burn-on kill effects, and we're boosting its impact with Magnified Effect to increase the AoE so the flames spread to nearby enemies. Then we have Herald of Thunder, which activates when we kill shocked enemies. Just like in the Deadeye build I did a few months back, we're using Electrocute, which helps kickstart our electrocution chain to generate frenzy charges. Neural Overload to spread Electrocute to nearby enemies for easier charge up time. Concentrated Effect for 30% more AoE damage, and Lightning Infusion to scale even more lightning damage. Now, let's talk Herald of Ice, which delivers those big screen shatter explosions when you kill frozen mobs. We're supporting it with Close Combat for 25% more damage to nearby enemies, Leverage for 50% crit chance against frozen targets, Cold Penetration to ignore 30% of enemy cold resistance, and optionally, if you have extra spirit, Deadly Herald for 30% more overall Herald damage. Next, we've got Barrage. This one's reserved for tanky rares and bosses. It helps you unload big burst damage using your stored charges. We're pairing it with Perpetual Charge to give us a 35% chance not to consume frenzy charges, Premeditation for 15% more damage, Second Wind to use Barrage more frequently, and Persistence to extend the effect duration. Now onto the core engine of the whole build, Combat Frenzy. This is what keeps our frenzy charges rolling by reacting to freeze from Glacial Lance and Herald of Ice, and Electrocute from Herald of Thunder. It's the heart of how we stay buffed, fast, and explosive, as most of the Huntress skills really shine when frenzy is active. We're supporting it with Profusion, which gives a 50% chance to gain an additional frenzy charge, Clarity to keep our mana regeneration stable, especially helpful during long fights or heavy movement. And if you've got the extra spirit, Add precision for a clean accuracy boost that benefits all your attacks. Next up, we're using Trinity, which fits perfectly into this build thanks to the mix of cold and lightning we're dealing across multiple skills. Trinity keeps stacking up, giving you 12% more elemental damage and helping maintain high damage output across the board. And to support it, we're using the elemental masteries: Lightning Mastery, Cold Mastery, Fire Mastery. Now finally, let's talk about a nice utility layer: Cast on Critical. If you're tight on Spirit, you can replace it with Cast on Freeze for a lower Spirit. We're using it mainly to help generate even more Frenzy charges. And we're adding Sniper's Mark, which marks enemies and gives us a Frenzy charge every time we crit. Plus, it boosts our crit damage. Then we use Ingenuity to improve cooldown recovery, Inspiration for 30% less mana cost, and Impetus, which boosts energy gain by 40% to help us cast more frequently. And that wraps up the skills and gems for the Amazon Huntress build. It's all focused on keeping things explosive, fast, and non-stop with reliable frenzy uptime, AoE everywhere. Let's jump into how this all looks in action. We usually start combat by casting Glacial Lance. This freezes and slows enemies right in front of us, locking them down and instantly generating frenzy charges through freeze interactions. Right after that, we fire off Lightning Spear, which consumes those charges and clears everything in front of us, even off-screen. That hit also triggers all three Heralds: Thunder, Ice, and Ash, which creates massive explosions. As enemies die, it auto-casts Sniper's Mark, and with more freeze and electrocute effects chain through nearby mobs, giving us new frenzy charges, resetting the loop, and letting us blast through the next wave with full momentum. It's smooth, satisfying, and non-stop once it gets going. Now let's move on to the passive points, starting with the Ascendancy. And honestly, the Huntress has some really solid options. Here's what I personally went with, and I'll also list them in the order I recommend spending points as you level up and get more points. First, we go with Elemental Infusion. This is the node that gave us the infused weapon skill we slotted earlier, and it's huge. It lets us consume frenzy charges to infuse our weapon with lightning, which gives our projectiles a massive damage boost and synergy with everything else in the build. Next, grab Critical Strike, a straightforward and very useful boost to our crit chance, which helps keep our crit-based effects and Sniper's Mark rolling smoothly. After that, grab Penetrate. This node is absolutely cracked. It converts 25% of your weapon's accuracy rating into flat physical damage, which is a huge deal. So if you're stacking accuracy on your spear, not only do you benefit from it, but you're also turning that accuracy directly into bonus physical damage. Combine that with other accuracy-focused nodes like Falcon Dive, and you'll see a massive spike in overall DPS. And before we move on to the passive skill tree, if you're enjoying the video or finding it helpful, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep going. And as you can probably tell, I've tested a ton of gear, setups, and resources just to make this build as smooth as possible. Now let's talk about the passive skill tree. I've already created both a max roll planner and a path of building link to make things easier for you. They're both linked in the description. But let's still go step by step through the tree in the order I followed it so you can stop and build gradually if you're leveling up or short on points. First, I picked up the Road to Primal Instinct. This gives us a nice boost to attack speed and dexterity, which is a core stat for this build. Then I went for Harness the Elements. Since we're dealing all three elemental types, this node gives us around 45% increased elemental damage, which is a huge boost. Next up is Subterfuge Mask, which converts our helmet's energy shield into double evasion, giving us survivability from both pools and taking full advantage of gear scaling. After that, I moved into Falcon Dive, which scales our attack speed based on dexterity, making it a perfect fit for this build. Then I grabbed Enhanced Reflexes to boost both evasion and dexterity scaling. From there, I picked up Bestial Skin, a great node that doubles our evasion from body armor, giving us a major defense spike. After locking down defenses, I moved into the Critical Strike nodes, boosting our crit chance and crit multiplier to support all the crit synergy in the build. Next, I went for Coming Calamity. Since we're heavily abusing all three Heralds, this node really enhances their power. From there, I moved into the Spear Weapon skill tree and grabbed all the relevant nodes to scale our weapon usage properly. After that, I took the path toward the Star Cluster to start stacking attributes. This build benefits from strength, dexterity, and intelligence, so it's worth grabbing as many attribute nodes as possible. Honestly, I can't wait to get Astromentus Amulet to push this even further. Once those attribute clusters were secured, I picked up Jack of all trades for the 2% damage per attribute type, which is a great fit for our hybrid scaling. Then I circled back to grab acceleration for movement speed and skill speed, keeping our combat fast and fluid. After that, I grabbed another copy of Falcon Dive to boost accuracy and convert it into attack speed. Next, I made my way up to pick Spectral Ward, which gives a big energy shield boost from evasion armor, adding another defensive layer. Finally, I added 2 critical strike clusters, True Strike and for the Jugular, giving us more reliable crits and stronger hit scaling. Right now, this is my passive tree at level 87. Up next, I'm thinking of removing the Chaos damage and transitioning into Chaos Inoculation for better survivability, and picking up Patient Barrier to help even more with defense. And for the next Ascendancy point, I'm still deciding between Predatory Instinct and Infused Avatar. I'll let you guys know how it goes when I test them out. I'll be traveling for the next few weeks, so I might be a little slower with updates, but I'll try to jump in from time to time and keep you posted. In the meantime, if you want to chat builds or connect with the community, feel free to join the Discord. Links in the description. Would love to see you there. And real quick, let's talk about jewels. If you can afford or find the right ones, there are a lot of useful stats that can support this build really well. Look out for critical hit chance, critical damage, attack speed, cold or lightning damage, energy shield, damage against rare or unique, and attack speed or damage with spears. Even just 1 or 2 of those on a jewel can make a noticeable difference, especially if you're looking to push damage or fine-tune your defenses. Now, let's move to the final piece of the puzzle, the gear. To keep things accessible, I haven't used any expensive uniques so far, just rares. This way, you can get a feel for the key stats to look for and start with whatever you can afford. Starting with the helmet, I picked a rare one with high energy shield. This works great with our passive that converts energy shield from the helmet into double evasion, so we're getting solid value there. You'll also want to look for mana, life, or resistances to help your survivability. For the body armor, I went with something that has high evasion. This lets us double the evasion bonus from passives and also convert some of it into energy shield, giving us a strong defensive foundation. It's also a great spot to patch up your missing elemental resistances so you can hit cap. Next, the amulet. I'm using one with a mix of energy shield, mana, and if you can find it, spirit. Adding some resistances or attributes here is also helpful, especially because we need all 3. Strength, dexterity, and intelligence. As for the rings, I focused on getting flat damage, some mana regeneration, a bit of rarity just for fun, and of course, resistances. The belt follows the same idea. Look for life, resistances, and a touch of strength if you're short. Again, make sure your gear helps you meet the attribute requirements to run everything smoothly. On the boots, I went with energy shield and movement speed. That's a must. And added some chaos resistance for extra survivability. The gloves are evasion-based and have some flat DPS dexterity and more resistances just to balance everything out. So, as you can see, nothing fancy, no busted uniques. The goal here is simple. Cap your resistances and get the highest evasion and energy shield values you can afford. That's all you really need to make this work. Now let's talk about the weapons. For the main hand spear, if you've already picked the Penetrate Ascendancy node, then your goal should be to get the highest physical damage and accuracy rating possible. Extra bonuses like projectile skill levels, critical strike chance, attack speed, dexterity, or strength are all great additions. If you haven't reached the Penetrate node yet, then ignore accuracy for now and just stack flat damage instead. And finally, for the offhand, I'm using a Scepter. And this is where the spirit stacking really comes into play. Look for an Omen Scepter if you can. This gives you the Malice skill, which makes nearby enemies vulnerable to crits, and that's a massive DPS boost. On top of that, look for high spirit, intelligence, mana, or mana regeneration. We're not focused on summoning allies or minions here, just boosting our own performance as much as possible. And that's it for the gear. Let's move on and break down the combat rotation and how to prepare for boss fights. By the way, for flasks, I'm just using normal ones, and for the charm, I use the one that grants immunity to freeze. Now let's talk about boss fights. And yeah, a quick heads up. For now, we do need to carry Stormlance. I'll try to find a cleaner solution later, but at the moment, this setup works incredibly well for taking down bosses quickly. Here's the setup. Swap out Herald of Ash and slot in Stormlance instead. Then add Scattershot and overextend to it. You can keep them in your spear throw skill here. After that, take Primal Armament from Lightning Spear and Lightning Infusion from Herald of Thunder and move them over to support Stormlance. This little switch turns it into a boss-melting weapon. Let's do it once again. Let's return everything. Put those up here. Primal Armament into Lightning Spear and Lightning Infusion into Herald of Thunder. Now we done, let's do it again. Alright, now let's see how to use it. When you enter a boss arena, I usually start by charging up Barrage and firing off Glacial Lance to freeze the boss. There's sometimes a strange bug where the freeze buildup gets stuck at 99% and doesn't actually freeze. Not sure why, but it doesn't matter. Usually, 2 strong hits from Glacial Lance is enough to kick things off. Then, just spam Stormlance and Barrage and watch the boss melt. Behind the scenes, your cast on critical setup will trigger, giving you a steady stream of frenzy charges, which empowers your Stormlance and leads to massive burst damage that shreds the boss's health bar in seconds. Before we wrap up, here are a few quick tips to help you get the most out of this build. Try to prioritize capping and balancing your resistances through gear. Since we're not relying on uniques or jewels for support, this becomes especially important early on. This build also relies heavily on all 3 attributes: strength, dexterity, and intelligence, so be mindful of that when choosing gear and allocating passive points. If you're short on strength or intelligence, you can drop a few levels from Herald of Ash or cast on crit, and maybe try using gears with reduced attribute requirements to help if that needed. If you're running low on spirit, consider dropping Herald of Ash temporarily, or swap to cast on freeze to lower the cost. We also use 3 spirit cost gems in the build, so if needed, those are good options to remove first. And finally, don't forget to swap back your skills after boss fights. Especially make sure it's properly slotted so your full rotation works again in regular content. And just a heads up, I'm still experimenting with a few things, especially when it comes to bossing and spirit optimization. If I discover a smoother rotation, better gear combo, or an upgrade path worth sharing, I'll definitely cover it in a follow-up video. So stay tuned. And that's it for today's build showcase. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown and got some ideas to try out or tweak for your own setup. Let me know in the comments. Are you planning to try the Amazon Huntress build? Or maybe you're running something completely different this league? If you found the video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss future updates. I'll be sharing more builds, league content, and boss fights soon. Even while I'm on vacation, I'll try to sneak in a few updates when I can. And if you want to chat, theorycraft, or share your build progress, join the Discord server. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. Good luck out there, and enjoy the hunt.